Marvel is home to some of the most famous supervillains in comic book history. There's something about the way our favorite villains attack the most human parts of our heroes which makes us love them so much. While some villains are so strong, others need to hit the supervillain gym because they look weak as hell. We'll take a look at both the strongest and weakest Marvel villains today. But before we step into the evil layers of these incredibly strong and painfully weak foes, subscribe to CBR and punch that bell to join our notification squad so you never miss any of our MCU videos in the future. Doctor Doom. First up, we have to make sure to mention one of the biggest baddies in Marvel's first family, Victor Von Doom, more commonly known as Doctor Doom. First appearing in Fantastic Four number 5, he's not only the arch enemy of the Fantastic Four, but the Marvel Universe in general. He's a super genius with great studies into the cosmos, and he's also an inventor of many devices and pieces of tech. What also makes Doom so terrifying is that his power is beyond just normal physical manifestation. For a while, Doom was also the ruler of the country of Latveria, where he had control over the Iron Curtain in Europe, giving him diplomatic immunity so he could be governmentally protected in some situations. An evil government worker with immunity? That's too scary. Ultron. What's Ultron's plan for Earth? All that will be left is living metal. That's one hell of a mantra. Making his first appearance in the Avengers number 54 in July 1968, Ultron has been giving us nightmares about our smartphones evolving and fighting back. In Avengers Age of Ultron, Tony Stark is at the helm of his creation, but in the comics, it was actually Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man. After the initial Ultron 1, Pym was brainwashed by the android into forgetting he ever built Ultron. Ultron is completely metal, which gives him access to beyond human strength, speed, flight, and durability. He's also armed with tractor beams, energy absorption, and most normal features of a laptop computer. However, one of the features that makes Ultron such a threat to the Avengers is his ability to transfer his program code to the other pieces of machinery. By doing this, he's able to control copies of himself to help carry out his bidding. Thanos. Dread him, run from him. Thanos still arrives. Thanos puts the smackdown on the Avengers and the Guardians this past summer in Avengers Infinity War, and we had to include him on our list mainly because we don't want to get snapped. At his core, Thanos was obsessed with death. He even falls in love with the actual embodiment of death in the comics, wanting to give as much as he can to her by extinguishing life in the universe. This set the stage for the Infinity Gauntlet. Thanos and the Gauntlet is part of what makes him so scary to deal with. Uniting all 6 stones onto the Gauntlet is a universe-level catastrophe, which is why it took all of the Marvel characters to try to stop him from ending everything as they knew it. Galactus. Premiering in Fantastic Four number 48 in 1966, it's Galactus, the Devourer of Worlds. From the planet Ta, Galen was around during a time when a new Big Bang was preparing to take place. While his home was being destroyed and reformed as a cosmic egg, he and the rest of the inhabitants of Ta fly ships directly into the energy of the egg. Only Galen survives and is reborn. He's gifted abilities like limitless super strength and an appetite for, devouring entire worlds. Galactus basically has god-level strength, invincibility, and a giant size. He devours worlds like snacks. He also has massive cosmic abilities, force fields, communication, and the ability to give powers to a living being. He's nigh unstoppable. Magneto. No one has ever made a red and purple helmet look so terrifying like Magneto, the leader of the Brotherhood of Mutants and enemy of the X-Men. He premiered in X-Men issue number 1 in 1963, and we've been wary around metal ever since. Max Eisenhart was born in Europe during World War II. After his father saved him and was murdered, he was moved to Auschwitz as a teenager. Later, after starting a family and changing his name to Eric Lenscher, his mutant powers manifested. Unfortunately, he couldn't save his family from a KGB house fire and destroyed part of the town in a rage. His crusade against humans was born. He later received counseling for Holocaust victims, and here he met Charles Xavier. The rest is history. Magneto is an extremely powerful Class 5 mutant with magnetokinesis or control of all metal. But we can't forget his helmet that blocks ESP. This is especially handy when your enemies are led by one of the greatest telepaths to ever live. Apocalypse. He's the first mutant to be born on Earth. From ancient Egypt comes the powerhouse In-Saba-Nur, better known as Apocalypse. 5,000 years ago, In-Saba-Nur was abandoned as a baby. He was found by another tribe and sired until he and his friend Baal were injured by Pharaoh Rama-Tut's time ship. Baal died and he swore revenge as he trained and became a warrior. When he was older, modern heroes like the Avengers and the Fantastic Four traveled back in time where they battled Rama Toot. He's hit by an attack meant for the Fantastic Four and reemerges with powerful mutant abilities. He's immortal and can alter his own molecular states. This gives him healing powers and different types of near-limitless physical abilities. He's a strong psionic and can also manipulate energy into blasts or absorb it. Kingpin. New York City is home to many Marvel characters, heroes and villains alike, and the throne of the underworld sits at Kingpin Wilson Fisk. On TV, we see Fisk's descent into corruption start with witnessing his father's abuse both towards him and his mother. Wilson rose up the criminal ladder under mafia boss Don Rigoletto until he overtook his empire and had him killed. As Kingpin, he has power over the entire criminal underworld of New York City, as well as millions of dollars in both legit and dirty businesses, attracting fights with Spider-Man and Daredevil, and he holds his own. He's almost entirely made of muscle with the physicality of a sumo wrestler. Fisk rules over nearly all of the crime of the Big Apple and holds it together. Who's to say what would happen if Fisk went to prison for life? The Vulture. Bald head? Check. Green bird suit? Check. That's right, it's the Vulture. He's one of Spider-Man's earliest villains, with his first appearance happening in The Amazing Spider-Man #2, and he's stuck around ever since. Adrian Toomes was an electrical inventor and engineer who created his own electromagnetic flight wings. Vulture sports a green outfit with a neck piece, but the star of the show are his wings. His harness allows him to reach 95 miles per hour and nearly 11,000 feet when climbing. It also gives him enhanced super strength. However, underneath all of that, he's just an ordinary senior citizen. Not to mention, he's also unfortunately developing cancer later in his villain career due to his suit use. All in all, he's one of the most consistent Spider-Man villains because he's so easy to put away. Chameleon. We love Spidey, but in another less than thrilling entry, we have to give it to Dmitry Smerdnikov, aka the Chameleon. Making his appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man #1 in 1963, he's the original supervillain for the Spider-Man franchise. Dmitry was a Russian who quickly began to hate himself because no one liked the sight of his face. He was later found by communist spies and trained to become a master of disguise, used as a weapon to take down rival nations. He hits the United States first and then is stopped by New York City's web-slinger. Later in his career as a supervillain, he gains the ability to actually morph his face. However, he doesn't keep them forever and then returns to a powerless state. He does use an arsenal of weapons for support though, as well as using an acid bath to dump his victims in. Yikes. Although he's been around since the very beginning, he's definitely considered a warm-up for Spider-Man. The downside to blending in is, well, it makes you forgettable. The Grandmaster and Collector. We went to the deepest depths of outer space to find Endwigast, the Grandmaster, and Tenalier Tivan, the Collector. They're elders of the universe, an ancient supervillain group born many eons ago. The Grandmaster is a master strategist and game player, forcing different groups to do a battle against each other. He's been able to do this with both East and West Coast Avengers, and jump universes to engage the Justice League over on the DC side of things. He can also will things to death and back to life. However, he wasn't strong enough to do this to Galactus, who consumed him for a time. The Collector isn't as ambitious. He protects certain life from the cosmic annihilation brought on by Thanos. Both of these men are cosmic tanks, but neither of them is very comic book accurate in the films. Both are very weak in the films, so weak that the Collector is actually killed off-screen by Thanos. They lack any true power in the MCU, which is a shame, but that's why we're including them on our list as weak characters, since in the Marvel movies, they are nothing like the comics. Hopefully, Marvel will fix this at some point. Baron Mordo. This villain hates the fact that there are too many sorcerers. It's Baron Mordo, arch-rival to the Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange. Carl Mordo debuted in Stranger Tales #111. He's the son of Baron Nikolai Mordo and Baroness Sarah Crowler as part of the scheme created by Sarah's father. Even as a successful student, he could never keep the attention of the Ancient One after Stephen Strange appeared. Mordo became Strange's rival for the Ancient One's education. Mordo does become an extremely powerful sorcerer and black magic user. However, when dealing with Strange, he typically doesn't stack up. It just goes to show that you can't expect to do a good job of being a sorcerer if your head isn't in the game, and revenge is an easy way for distractions to seep in. Loki. Rounding out our list is someone more on the lighter side of villainy, the ever magical, ever suave, ever emerald Loki Loki, Prince of Asgard, rightful king of Jotunheim, and god of mischief who made his silver-aged appearance in Journey into Mystery number 85 on October 1962. He was found by Odin amongst frost giants, and that grants him enhanced physicality and immunity to cold. Loki is one of the most powerful and well-known villains in Marvel Comics, and he was a huge threat for the Avengers on many occasions. Anyone who has ever read a comic book that included Loki knows that the god of mischief is the real deal. Unfortunately, in the MCU, Loki was extremely depowered. Most of his powers are just simple illusions and nothing more. And he got his butt kicked by pretty much every Avenger. And it's a real shame, since in recent MCU films, Loki became more of a joke than an actual villain. So we had to include him on this list as one of the weak ones. The villains sure do love to come to the heroes in numbers to challenge them. Who's one of your favorites that we forgot? Who do you think is the strongest or weakest on the list? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more MCU videos like this one. Thanks for watching.